Welcome to the Legend of Zelda Timeline Part 2, Back to the Past. Link had just fulfilled his destiny as the hero of time, and defeated Ganon after being asleep for 7 years. In an act of compassion, Princess Zelda returned him to his childhood, before these events took place, and Navi, completing her responsibility, left his side. After returning to the past, Link's first act was to go find Princess Zelda to warn her of Ganon's plans. After warning Zelda, she gave Link the Ocarina of Time once again to keep it away from Ganon, and told her father everything. With undeniable proof and the details that Link provided, the King of Hyrule had Ganon arrested for his treachery and sentenced him to death. Link decided to begin searching for his fairy friend Navi and spend months looking for her, eventually ending up in a mysterious forest. This leads us into the Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. In the woods, Link met a Skull Kid wearing a mysterious mask, who stole the Ocarina of Time from Link and turned him into a Deku Scrub. In his new body, Link made his way through the forest and ended up in a parallel world to Hyrule, called Termina. Here he met a traveling mask salesman, who told Link the Skull Kid he met in the woods stole the mask from him and used its terrible power to cause havoc all over Termina. This mask was Majora's Mask, a mask that was used for magical incantations ages ago, and was currently possessed by a demon that was driving the Skull Kid's actions. Link discovered that he used the mask's power to cause the moon to start falling from the sky. In 3 days' time, the moon would come crashing down onto the land of Termina, completely destroying it, unless Link found a way to stop it. The mask salesman entrusted Link to go find Majora's Mask and bring it back to him. And after regaining the Ocarina of Time, Link was able to return back to his original form. The only way Link could stop the moon from crashing down was by finding the 4 giant guardians, sleeping in the 4 corners of Termina. Using different masks that allowed him to transform into different forms, Link awakened each giant one by one until he had successfully awakened all 4. And as the moon plunged down into Termina, the 4 giants held it up and saved the world. However, the power behind Majora's Mask was still active, and Link traveled up to the moon to face it. Majora's Mask revealed its true form to Link. And after putting on the powerful, fierce deity's mask and transforming into a more powerful form, Link was able to overcome the demon inside the mask. The mask, now powerless, was returned to the mask salesman, and the Skull Kid was also freed from his curse. Link left Termina behind and lived out the rest of his days. This ends the story of Majora's Mask, and this Link's legend. Years passed as Ganon remained a prisoner of the Kingdom of Hyrule, but his execution date had finally come, and the ancient sages of the kingdom would be his executioners. As they tried ending his life, the Triforce of Power appeared on his hand, and he managed to destroy one of the sages. Realizing that Ganon couldn't be killed by their hands, the sages used their power to banish him to the Twilight Realm by using the Mirror of Twilight. And the full history of the Twilight Realm isn't fully known, but it's a parallel dimension to the realm of Hyrule. It's a world of shadows and home of the Twilight, a race of beings descended from people that were banished from Hyrule ages ago for trying to take over the sacred realm. The only passage between Hyrule and the Twilight Realm was the Mirror of Twilight, and the gods instructed the sages to protect the mirror and ensure that Ganon did not find a way out. After being banished into the Twilight Realm, Ganon, full of hatred, plunged the world of the Twilight into darkness, while Hyrule remained safe from his evil powers. In the Twilight Realm, he gave a Twilight named Zant magical powers, and used them to spread its influence back into Hyrule. He dethroned the princess and ruler of the kingdom, Midna, and transformed her into a smaller, less powerful version of herself. Midna, realizing everything was lost, escaped Hyrule, known to her as the Light World. Zant launched an invasion of Hyrule, and new Princess Zelda submitted to Zant's rule in order to keep Hyrule from being completely destroyed. The Twilight Realm was slowly fusing with the Light World, slowly turning the population into spirits, with Ganon's puppet Zant in control. The 4 light spirits that guarded the different regions of Hyrule lost their light, and fear spread across the land. This leads us directly into the events of The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. As the kingdom slowly fell to darkness, a young goat herd named Link was growing up in the village of Ordon. It was a peaceful place where the inhabitants lived in harmony with nature until Zant's invasion arrived, and the children of Ordon village were abducted. Link took it upon himself to rescue the children and bring them back home. As he set out on his quest, the shadow that was overtaking the land turned him into a beast. At the same time, Midna was searching for a way to fight back against Zant and take her kingdom back. She found Link and immediately recognized him as the hero she was searching for. The Twilight had passed down a legend, which stated that the savior of their world would appear in the form of a beast. Link and Midna joined forces and set off to restore the light spirits of Hyrule, whose light had faded. Link traveled to each region of the land with Midna, and was able to restore the essence of each one of them. They restored light back to the corners of the world, and Link was finally able to regain his human form. During his travels, Link met a spirit who taught him multiple fighting techniques. This spirit was the hero of time himself, who after returning back to his childhood, was never remembered for his deeds in Hyrule. Eventually passed away and regretted never being able to pass down his knowledge, and never being remembered as the hero he was. Teaching his new successor allowed him to serve the kingdom of Hyrule once again, and he was finally able to rest in peace. After restoring the light spirits, Hyrule was still under Zant's control, and Midna wasn't powerful enough to face him just yet. She needed Link's help finding the ancient fused shadow pieces, which were magical objects that would give her the power she needed to defeat him. Midna wore one piece of the fused shadow as a helmet, while the other 3 pieces were sealed away by the light spirits in temples across Hyrule. After finding the fused shadow, Zant attacked, stealing it, and turning Link into a beast once again. Link and Midna went directly to Hyrule Castle and found Princess Zelda, who told them to go find the Master Sword, then healed Midna of the wound she had endured from Zant's attack. Traveling deep into the forest, Link had found the Master Sword in the ruins of the Temple of Time, left there ages ago by the Hero of Time. The Master Sword washed away the curse placed on Link, and he fully regained his human form. Armed with the Master Sword, Link and Midna decided to head back to the Twilight Realm and defeat Zant from within. However, the Mirror of Twilight that worked as a gateway between both worlds was broken by Zant. Only the true ruler of the Twilight could destroy the mirror completely, so its broken pieces were scattered. After collecting the broken pieces of the mirror, the gateway to the Twilight Realm opened up once again, and Link and Midna traveled through. The Twilight Realm had been completely covered in darkness, and the people who lived here were transformed into demonic forms. Link confronted Zant in the Palace of Twilight, and Midna regained the fused shadow from him, using it to destroy him. Twilight Realm was saved, but Ganondorf's plans were still going exactly as he wanted them to. Using the opening to the World of Light, he had escaped into Hyrule, and sat at the throne of the kingdom, as he had always dreamed. Taunting Link, he lunged his spirit into Zelda's body and possessed her from within. Zelda, possessed by the evil king, attacked Link, and he had to find a way to stop Ganondorf without killing her at the same time. By reflecting her own magic back at her, he was able to stop her, and Midna freed her from the possession. Ganondorf reformed and appeared in his most monstrous form, the demon beast Ganon. Link slayed Ganon's beast form, but his evil power was still strong. Midna used the Fused Shadow's power to fight back, but she wasn't powerful enough to beat him. Link and Zelda faced Ganondorf on horseback and using her light arrows, knocked him from his horse, giving Link the opportunity to face him in combat. Link overcame Ganondorf with the Master Sword and plunged it in his chest. The Triforce of Power left Ganondorf and his evil was extinguished. Midna was finally able to regain her true form and decided to return to her Kingdom of Twilight. After saying goodbye to Link, she re-entered the Mirror of Twilight and destroyed it, making sure the two worlds would never intersect again. Link laid down the Master Sword to rest in the forest, hoping it would never be needed again, and returned to his village to live his life in peace. This ends the story of Twilight Princess. Several hundred years pass and darkness was once again coming from the Gerudo village in the desert, where Ganondorf was originally from. Another male child was born, and this was in fact Ganondorf reborn. As he got older, he craved power and entered a forbidden pyramid which housed an ancient trident filled with evil power. He took the trident as his own. He needed to cause as much distraction in Hyrule as possible while he regained his full power, and Ganon poured all of his anger and hatred into a dark mirror that reflected the evil heart of its bearer. This mirror spawned a creature known as Shadow Link, an evil being that resembled the hero that Ganon hated so much. This leads us into the events of The Legend of Zelda: Four Swords Adventures. A new Princess Zelda was aware of the darkness starting to cover the kingdom, and since she believed Ganondorf was killed ages ago, she was concerned that the seal on Vati might be weakening. She called upon a new Link to check the seal in the elemental sanctuary with her, and the 6 maidens who had the power of the sages met them there. Shadow Link appeared and took Zelda and the 6 maidens away, then taunted Link to pull the Four Sword out of its pedestal. Link pulled it out, split into 4 as the hero of the Four Sword did, and the evil Vati was released, exactly as Ganon had planned. So much time had passed since the Four Sword was last used that it had lost most of the elemental power that was infused in it by Link of the Minish Cap era. Ganon used Vati to open a gateway into the Sacred Realm, which was now a dark world full of demons ever since Ganondorf first invaded it, during the events of the Ocarina of Time. He used the power from the Dark World to turn all of Hyrule's knights into possessed soldiers, and demons poured out into the land. Link set off to rescue the 6 maidens and Zelda, who had the power of the Light Force within her. As he traversed through the new dangers in Hyrule, he rescued the 6 maidens and recovered the royal jewels, which held the ability to restore the Four Swords' full power and open a path to Vati. The path to Vati was opened, and Link faced Shadow Link, and multiple versions of himself continuously spawned from the Dark Mirror that was used to create him. Link defeated the Shadow Links and recovered the Dark Mirror, and Link made it to the Palace of Winds and confronted Vati with the fully powered Four Sword. Link was able to destroy Vati and his evil completely, and the Palace of Winds crumbled. Ganon appeared in his final demonic form and revealed that he was behind everything. Zelda and Link worked together to stop him, and after a fierce battle, Link defeated Ganon, but couldn't truly destroy him since he didn't have the Master Sword in his possession. Instead, he used the Four Swords' power and sealed Ganon inside of it, just like Vati had once been. Link placed the Four Sword back in the Elemental Sanctuary, and he was celebrated as a hero in Hyrule Castle. This ends the story of Four Swords Adventures, and the sequences of events started when Link returned to his childhood after the Ocarina of Time. Ganon remains sealed away inside the Four Sword, and the history of the kingdom after this event hasn't unfolded yet. However, there are more stories to be told in the Legend of Zelda universe. So, we now know that Zelda sent Link back to his past, But what happened to the world of the future that he left behind? Don't forget to join me next time for The Legend of Zelda Timeline Part 3, A Future Without Link.